Hello, welcome back to the channel, my friends. How are we today? This stamp set is an oldie but a goodie. It is, you probably already know it, my favorite things. They did quite a few selfies and I still have some selfie stamps of theirs, which you will see from time to time, because the stamp, my favorite things, was just the best. I mean, there's lots of great, don't get me wrong. I love, but it was one of the classics. They were good. And then they've sadly gone. But this stamp set I bought years ago, and then I moved it on to a friend, borrowed it back, and that's why you now see it now. So it's about to be sent back home after me having it for I don't know how long. But I am adding the shadows in, so I've got C5, C3, C1 and the 0 marker just to soften any edges, and the trick is to make sure you leave some white. I have the 110, C9, C7 and C5. I personally, now I know there is, but I personally can't see it. I don't know what the difference is between a 100 and a 110. 110, the 110 was closer to me. That's why I used it. Just saying. My little carrots are E08, YR27 and YR04. My reds are the YR59, 46, R20, why did I say YR? R59, R49, R24 and R22. So this is day one of Christmas in July series, because it's fun and we're all starting to think about Christmas cards, because we always have a butt ton of them to make, and so we need to get in early, don't we? I do. I always, and then there's always people that I've forgotten or something and I have to make more. His little mouth is the same red color, and I'm going to do, I do come back to his bodies, and this is where I stuffed up. I flicked some out and I think I didn't leave it long enough to dry, and so he is going to bleed like nobody's business, and so we're going to fix it, we're going to work with it, and we're going to fix it. It's okay, it's all good in the hood. My violets, as you can see there, are V09, V17, V15 and V12. Word of warning, because yes, I've done it again. Colour all your whites, people, before you do dark colours, especially your red and purples. Especially red. There's something with reds. They obviously don't, I want to say, aren't removed by the O colour, but they're not really owed. It's removed. Not really owed. They're not really removed. They're just sort of pushed it back to the cardstock fibre. But they don't work well with O markers. So just beware. So now I have to be super careful while putting in my shadows for their bodies. And I'm not worrying about the very centre. We're going along, go on with the flow here. Now, to hide the fact that I have colour bleeding out from the edge, we are going to put a little frame. So I have used the lines, like the 16th inch lines and 18th inch talk, 8-inch lines, or 1/8 of an inch. That's it, 1/8 of an inch lines to do a frame. So I have placed my ruler up against, or the lines of my ruler up against, like the very tips, that come down, the very tips of your lines, on the line that we already have for our selfie. And I have just drawn a line across the top. You just have to be aware of where things all finish. So this is going to give me a nice straight line. Well, it should. If you make sure all the bottom line is lined up to the bottom of whichever line you're going to use, whether it's the 1/8 inch lines or 1/16. If that's all lined up, you should have a very nice flat and straight line. I am using some more browns to make my wooden frame. So we've got E59, E57, 55 and 53. I have the nesting Australian rectangles. So these are a little bit narrower than the nesting rectangles that American peeps have. And I have just eyeballed and marked with a pencil a rough border. I have a very, very old Cuttlebug embossing folder called Snowflakes. I think it's the Cuttlebug one. And glued that flat. That's going to give me a little bit of interest in the back. To keep it a little bit more plain and simple, of course, you can leave that behind. The last thing I'm going to pretty much do is use a little bit of Stardust Snickles. The red that I used was an old Stampin' Up! Cherry Cobbler. Now, it did get discontinued and then it got back again, so hopefully, it's one of my favorite reds. I will completely say that. I have just done a little dot because I did have on one of my, right underneath my hand, so the bottom right hand corner of my frame, I had a little line. So we've put a little bit of white gel pen over it and then we've hit it. Anyway, take care, talk soon.